Hey everybody, Carm Capriato, Town Hall Academy from Remarkable Results Radio. Glad to have you here. I'm trying to think. Oh, it's week 322. I can't believe, Tom, that we've been doing this for that many weeks. That actually equates to years, by the way. If
Hey, your
anybody,
your hair was not white when we started this.
oh, stop it, stop it! I'm going to go back and look.
Yeah, I
It
remember.
may have been just a few shades darker, but thank you for recognizing my age here. Appreciate
Anytime.
that. Tom Ham, my friend from Auto Centric Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Chief Cook and Bottle Washer from Automotive Management Network, home of the Labor Rate Tracker at
Yes, sir.
laborratetracker.com.
Thank you.
I looked at that this week. It's really growing. How cool. People can literally just go to their labor rate tracker and see what labor rates are around the country and even in their own town without exposing who it is. At least you can get an idea. It was a
Yeah,
brilliant
it's filling
idea.
in. It's filling in more and more as we go, and obviously the more it fills in, the more useful it can get. So you actually do get a good handle in a geographical area what the rates are.
Good for you. Also with us is Chris Lum, Service Manager, Midwest Performance Cars, Chicago, 2 locations. And Chris likes to say, and he's so proud, that we're going to have number 3 very soon, right, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool,
Good
cool.
things coming. Thanks for having me, Cam.
All right. Hey, I'm glad you're here. It looks like we have a little fuzzy video going. I can't quite explain why, but every once in a
That's
while.
Canadian smoke.
Now we've told everyone when it is that we're recording, of course, during
Yeah,
the
sorry
height
about
of
that.
this. No, I'm fine with that because I think it's been a phenomenal that is, Tom, they say it's affecting millions and millions between the Midwest and all the way to the East Coast. And I went for a walk around a lake on Tuesday night. And this is when it was really starting to be where friends of ours were. I says, is the woods that we're in burning? Because that's what it smelled like. And we had to go home, turn on the news to find out what was going on. It was amazing. Anyway, we're here to talk about Slack as a productivity tool. I use it in my company. Tom and Chris both use it. And we're going to have some fun helping you if you're a Slack user, maybe get a little bit more motivated on where Slack fits in and or some cool tips or tricks about Slack. But in the meantime, high fives to our great sponsors. Hey, does anyone really enjoy playing phone tag? Ugh. The callback will come back at exactly the worst time. Instead, share repair orders in any level of detail via Shop-Ware's exclusive messenger platform with a live chat. Cool as that, huh? On the web at getshopware.com. And when you turn to Delphi Technologies for your chassis needs, quality is always at the forefront. Material and dimensional enhancements, as well as 700 hours worth of salt spray testing, goes into each and every chassis part produced. Visit DelphiAftermarket.com to see over 8,000 chassis parts that Delphi has for you in stock. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and thanks. Okay, Tom. I'm sorry, Tom. You're showing your age by your first talking point.
Oh, you're referring to the AOL, I assume. I still have an AOL mail account that I got in 1994, I believe. So it's fun when people give you their email address. It's AOL, and you go, "You've been on the internet a long time, haven't you?" They go, "Yeah."
Yeah.
No, we way back, and I can't tell you exactly when, but it was a long time ago. This is maybe 15, maybe 20 years ago, where it just the concept of being able to communicate within the shop, since everybody had computers, the logical thing back then was just to fire up the AOL chat and just get everybody an AOL chat thing, and they had the little box in their screen back then, and we could just talk back and forth, and it was very, very cool. Very few shops did it back then. I think a lot of them thought we were goofy, but and it just kind of developed over a period of time. And then one day AOL said, "Yeah, we're going to shut that down." I was kind of like, "Well, why?" Anyway, so they did. And then Google had a chat thing. They float a lot of things, and then they kill them. And I think that was one of them. Maybe that still exists, but we used that for some time. And then at some point, and I don't know where we learned about Slack, and that this would be a far more diverse tool. You could do a whole lot more with it than you could just the chat part of it. And so we signed up for that, and we use it for a number of years, and just kind of developed from what we had before, and love using it. And then several years ago, we went to the pay version, because the pay version just gives you that much more, many more options. The biggest option is that when you get the pay version, you can go back in the history, and everything that anybody in your company or whatever has put on Slack is there forever.
I believe the free version goes back 3 months, Tom. The free version.
It was 6 months.
Maybe
it's now.
Well, maybe
Okay.
maybe it is 6. You're right, but yeah, I think it's critical when you're running a business and doing what you got. Both are using Slack for. A lot of times, if it's an accountability feature, did you say what was this? Did we, because you can literally send attachments and pictures and documents to each other.
Yeah,
sometimes you want to go back.
Sure, and one of the things that we use the history for is we have policies and procedures. We usually add 1 or 2 a week, that kind of thing, and we have a policies and procedures channel in Slack. So people can look up a policy and procedure that was added a couple of years ago to remind themselves of what is the policy procedure. And just for anybody out there who has the free version of Slack, you could say, gee, I've had the free version for the last 5 or 10 years, and I'd like to be able to go back to that history. Well, if you upgrade to the premium, at least this is the way it was, it will go all the way back to the beginning, because they're still keeping track of it all. They're just not showing it to you after 6 months.
But that's a nice feature.
It is retroactive. So if you've had it for 5 years, you can go get your stuff from 5 years ago as soon as you sign up for the premium. That again, that's the way it was. Software is always changing the rules now. But that's last I knew.
Well, thanks for the introduction, Tom. Chris, I want to bring you in. Look at you're using this very comprehensively, like Tom is. Do you have channels going on?
Yeah. So we've got, with multiple locations, we've got a specific channel that's just for location to location. And then we've got individual channels between the office and each technician. And then we've got a whole location specific channel. So our other location, they do like a shop lunch every Friday. So that group channel for that location, everyone punches in their lunch order, but then for each individual tech throughout the workday, that's when we're sending over parts diagrams, or we end up texting. So we use TechMetric as our shop management software. So our techs are on that, advisors are on that. Sometimes a client of ours will text us through TechMetric and say, hey, I forgot about this, can you check this out? And we can forward that text message right over Slack. And then, we can kind of update as parts come on, as parts arrive. And then TechMetric also integrates with Slack. So whenever there's, an RO that gets approved, or a part gets delivered, or a status like, hey, the car's completed now, that gets populated through the channel. And then everyone has their own sound alert. So that way it's tech specific. So it's pretty useful if you're definitely on a web-based or on a computer for your shop management.
Well, I'm learning something brand new right here about the sound thing. I did not know about that, because we use Slack between Tracy and I, our editors, and everyone in the aftermarket radio network. Cool tool. By the way, just to let everyone know, and we're not here to sell Slack. Slack has not paid us to do this. We just feel that it is a great productivity tool. You taught me something new about the sound, and I want to know a little bit more about that. But the beauty, so that everyone appreciates it, is when you have something new going on in a channel that you are subscribed to, that is for you, you're seeing it bold up on the screen. It is so easy, Tom, and I know you know this, so easy to look, to say, something I got to look at. I mean, it's there. It's right it's bold in your face.
Yeah. and you can go into your settings and have only certain things show up. Also, you can mute certain things, so only when your name is mentioned, or it just depends on how big an organization. But you don't have to have all of the stuff that's going on Slack always appear and always be distracting you. You can narrow it down as much as you want.
Yeah, I love it. And do not disturb and everything. Let's go back to the sounds, Chris. How hard was that to find out?
No, not very hard. It was actually one of my colleagues. Basically, so everyone kind of assigned their own profile picture and everything. So when you're logged in the top right, kind of where your profile pic is or whatever your avatar picture is, if you click on that, you'll go to preferences, and then under notifications, which should be the first one highlighted, you just scroll all the way to the bottom, and then there's gonna be a sound and appearance section, and then you can actually just change out the notification sound. I mean, there's maybe like 10 or 15 options, but we only have 5 techs here, so everyone can have their own sound.
I'm not quite sure if the degradation that I'm seeing here in the studio as far as the video today is helping or hurting us communicating with each other, but I would love to apologize to anyone who may be seeing a little fuzziness going on. So the thing I really love about how Chris values Slack is because of the multiple locations. I mean, it's one company, multiple locations. There's a lot going on that could be the same, similar, both on policies and people decisions and meeting decisions. To me, it brings a company so much closer.
Oh yeah, definitely. Our locations are all going to be about 10, 15 miles away from each other. And we have, a couple team outings every so often, but definitely really helpful to just kind of say, hey, happy Friday, and just kind of keep the connection there. We do work really closely and well with each other. One of our locations is kind of specific in certain jobs, like the aftermarket performance stuff, tuning. So we'll have clients who live in the city, and then, they're interested in certain things. And so we'll have to, we can easily through Slack just kind of inquire about, is this something that we could handle, or does it something that, the client needs to go up to our other location for? So, and we can get a response pretty quick.
I love, Tom, I love the fact that you go to Florida for half the year, and obviously you're connected through cameras, you're connected through Slack. And I do want you to talk about that, but the point that I want to make is there's so many guys that are, if you will, maturing in their level of leadership and the size of their company, and they're finally saying, I listen to Carm Show all the time, and I hear these guys 5 days a week, 4 days a week, and they're doing other things. How is this possibly manageable? And because they've made themselves the centerpiece, the hub of the wheel of that entire organization. And in order for them to attempt to break away, I think it was you many times on the show say, hey, work from home for a day. You don't have to move to another city 1,000 miles away. Just go home. So you started like that, and now obviously 6 months you're in Florida. How has Slack helped?
Hey, it's just it's the communication that you do with everybody all day. And I actually have you get to it. Well, this too, Carmen. You get to a certain age and you don't remember anything, nothing.
What?
It's kind of like, yeah, I'll remember to do that later. And it's kind of like, yeah, well, that's not going to happen if you said that. So you write everything down. And one of the things on my task list is to touch bases with everybody every day. And I have a long task list to make sure I don't forget all this kind of stuff. And so I just take a few minutes and I Slack everybody. And it could be about anything from the weather to what did you do for the weekend. So what are you going to do this weekend to, and it's usually some kind of non-shop related stuff. Of course, we communicate about that too. But it gives you really good communication. And of course, you have if you have the pay version, then you can do the audio and video also Slack if you want to have more of a direct meeting.
Yeah.
But Slack is an integral part of everything. And you end up having it on your phone. You end up having it on every device that you have, so you're available on it all the time. You can set hours on it. Certain hours that you can come in and that it'll work, and certain hours that you won't hear anything. But and as you know, we have the two businesses, two different businesses, and we use Slack in both.
Yeah, what is so cool is the integration of outsiders into Slack. So say for example, you have Slack as a great shop, but you have a marketing company that works with you. You have a website company that works for you. You're doing business. You have a coach. There's a lot of coaches that have Slack channels that have an integrated program for those groups and or networks to work in. And what's so interesting about Slack is people are using it, but not a lot of people are talking about it because they're using it as one of those very cool, silent competitive advantages. It's a tight communication team tool. I love it. I don't think I could have, done business, grown my business the way I have without it. Chris, I want to hear about these exciting things about, I think you have 60-inch monitors everywhere. I mean, tell me, he was going on to
Oh yeah,
explain
yeah.
all the hardware that they're using to make their business work. And then there's this big section with Slack on it.
Yeah, right. So, you know, our shop owner Andy, definitely prioritizes efficiency, and then knows just how much the advisors are at the computer. So yeah, he spoiled us and got us massive. I think they're 34-inch widescreen monitors, so we can definitely have multiple tabs open at the same time. And then the techs, they have currently dual monitors. One monitor is just straight up devoted to Slack, and then their other monitors got our TechMetric shop software, which has their inspections on it. So then that way we can kind of go back and forth pretty seamlessly and not have to be clicking through windows back and forth. Everything's just side by side. So it's really great. Not a lot of desk space, but you can see what you're doing.
Wait a minute, 34-inch widescreen. Is that one of those curved ones?
Yeah.
Oh, I
It's
want one
it's pretty
so
cool.
bad. I got to ask Santa Claus for Christmas.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Tom, channels, specific categories, kind of give us a list so we can help people realize maybe what they could use Slack for.
Well, we started learning about channels at one point in time, and we're still always learning about them, because Slack is one of those things you just keep getting deeper and deeper into it. So over the years, we've probably had, I don't know, 20 or 30 or more different channels. And what you'll find is you develop a channel for something, and after 3 or 4 months, you find out it's really not being used. It sounded like a good idea at the time, so you just blow it up, you just get rid of it. And then other ones are kind of in between. Then other ones work really good. And I'm just going to mention some of the highlights. We have most shops nowadays have not just a customer drop-off box for keys. They have a pickup box for keys. The little safe on the outside of the building, and we put the codes for the combinations to get into those. We put those in the channel so everybody in the building can get back in there if the keys are already locked in there. We keep our loaner car coordination in a Slack channel of when they're going to be used. We post policies and procedures. We probably add a new one once a week, something like that, and that we put that in an update channel where everybody can see it and kind of acknowledge it. That works really good, and that's the one where you can go way back, or that ends up getting used for that. So you can see what was our lug nut policy 3 years ago or whatever. Current marketing, any new initiative that we have, whether it's email or print or on the sign out for whatever, anytime there's a new marketing thing that's launched or put in place, it goes in the Slack marketing channel, so you can quickly take a look in there and see what are our current specials, if you will, or deals or promos. We put training events. One of the things here where we integrate a little bit with, well, not officially integrate, but with Automotive Management Network, we have online live events like this one, for instance, will be on that calendar. And we've got anywhere from 50 to 100 different online live training events on our calendar there at one time. And they're technical and management. And if you go in there once a week and take a look at what's upcoming, you can get a lot of training for low cost or free, sitting right in your office, or for your people sitting right in your shop, just by going to our calendar. But I go over that once a week. And then the stuff that's pertinent to our guys, I put that in the Slack online live training channel. We have a general updates channel. The stuff we put in there is reviews. we once a week, all the various reviews we've gotten from Google or our website or Yelp or wherever, we post all our reviews on an update channel so everybody in the building can take a look at all of our reviews. Got that idea from Andy Masal over in Detroit. I stole that from him. So we put that on there, and we also have a callback service that calls all of our clients too. And the highlights of that are really, really cool. We put those on there once a week. And then last one that I'll mention that gets used a lot is our days off or vacation time off channel, where all the days off is listed for everybody in the building. So you can always look and see who's going to have when off, and can I take that day off? Is that date already taken? And then we repost that. We refresh it once a week, so it's got all the latest things in there. And this is just information that in the past was a pain in the butt in some way. It's just who's keeping track of this and where is it? And you got to ask somebody, and maybe it's written down somewhere, and is it updated? And this has taken a lot of that kind of exchange of the kind of the trivial but important information that goes on in a shop, and just putting it all up there and just making life a little easier for everyone.
Thank you for that, Tom. Great walkthrough to help our audience understand and appreciate. Thank you for all the great chatter that we're having. Chris, you got a young staff. I know that. Andy has shared that with me. And, you're paperless. So Slack is a communication tool, kind of removes some Post-it notes, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's great. So, my younger guys, they love now using their phones for the digital inspections. They kind of, onboarding wasn't such a big deal for them. Kind of showing my age, I used AOL messaging when I was in middle school, chatting with all my friends. So that's how I got good at that.
So you're in your 30s.
Yeah, mid 30s. So,
all right, got it.
Yep.
Because so did my kids. Yes, they did.
Yep.
I in our 40s.
Love it. The techs and advisors, everyone's real pretty savvy. So it wasn't very hard to learn Slack and kind of that integration and kind of work it with their workflow. But like for the audio, it's nice for their individual sounds because, the techs, they've got their head, under a dash or inside of an engine bay. So it's kind of nice when something pops up. But definitely, Tom, I'm stealing some of your ideas. We're underutilizing a lot of the channels. So
I got to figure that audio thing out. That is cool. Yeah. And again, I'm learning something new all the time. Tom sent me this sheet on all the shortcuts in Slack. I had no idea. So thank you for sending me all those shortcuts. Backslashes and using the control key. And the other thing that I find fascinating about Slack that brings desktop to another level is the mobile app. You just sign on and go to your Play Store if you're Google or the app. I guess the Apple App Store. I'm not an Apple. I don't know. And you've got everything you ever possibly wanted to have on your desktop on your phone. And that allows you to stay connected. Even if you're at Chick-fil-A having a chicken sandwich.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Could be a dangerous thing being so connected.
There's no excuse not to know, right? I can see Andy calling up and says, Chris, did you leave the store without your phone? I mean, right. It's like I don't phone anymore. I don't text anymore. I Slack. Think about it. Yeah. Think about how it's amazing if you think about the evolution. So the next thing I want to know is what's next.
Yeah,
Chris, you have any idea? You're in tune with the future.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows with this Chat GPT? I don't know. But it'll be kind of interesting. My techs. This was actually how we started using Slack. Actually, was one of our veteran techs. He ended up. I don't know if he heard it from somewhere or whatever, but our shop, people did a lot of walking, And unlike Tom, we were paperless just only a couple of years ago. But yeah, he just figured it was like an efficiency thing. Like, hey, it'd be cool if we can like message each other. That way we're not walking up to the office and back to the bay. So yeah, definitely making sure I'm listening to any of the guys who are definitely more tech savvy than me and kind of up on the know.
So have either of you guys ever sent a message to the wrong person?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And it happens. And
Yeah.
I think I'm on with Tracy, I'm on with Anthony, so you can recall it, you can edit it and
Yeah.
delete it. I mean, it's not like it's criminal. But then I think, Tom, about you must have some kind of policy about confidential discussions amongst people. I mean, are you making sure that confidential discussions are kept off of Slack?
Yeah, we really don't. The Slack is a very much a business type thing, and it's the day-to-day type stuff. In other words, stuff that you might consider to be, I don't know, high level or legal type stuff, really don't put on there. We also don't, and that's a rule you have to, I think, set. We don't really use it for any kind of fun stuff or social stuff at all. Otherwise it gets garbaged up with that kind of thing. But, and I'm sure there's text in our employee handbook about all this. It's not my department, but on what you can do and can't do and all that kind of good thing.
Well, that's a great point. Having a policy around your communications tool, I think it's a brilliant idea. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything more than 10 bullets, but you got to have it.
Yeah, you post that in your channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris. You were going to say?
Yeah, I was just saying. Yeah, I mean, you can update that in the policies channel, so that way everyone knows. Yeah,
exactly.
We're trying to come out with a handbook.
Policies things are real fun. That'd be a good unique modern ways to create policies and handbooks and so on would be a fun show to have sometime, Carm.
You're right. In fact, we just recently did an SOP show with Jaron Keebler, and it was. I re-listened to it again this morning. An excellent show. We went to a million different places, but we talked about truly the importance of SOPs, that in so many of the cases, certain SOPs create KPIs, of course, that you ultimately end up managing the business around. So yeah, Tom, we still need to do more shows on that. I'm just trying to, where was I going with this?
Go ahead while you gather any thoughts you want. One thing I want to make sure I mention on the Slack thing that you want to take advantage of is learn how to use the reminders. Because you can, when you put something, you communicate something in Slack, you say, okay, this is a recurring event. This is going to happen once a week, once a month, once every 6 months, once a year, whatever you want to, it's a recurring thing. And it's just with Slack reminder or / reminder. And then whatever you want to put after that, you can put the interval in there. And then whatever that is, we want to make sure you drain the water in the compressors. You want to, recalibrate something. You want to check your torque wrench torque, because we have a tester actually in the building. And you put all those things in there with the reminder, and then they'll just pop up automatically. Nobody ever has to remember them. You enter them in there once, and they are done forever unless you want to edit them. And you can also, if you just go / reminder list, and it'll show all the reminders that you've ever set on one screen.
Okay, that's brand new for me. I don't know, Chris, if you're using it. Are you using it, Chris?
No, but I will now. That's
I will now,
awesome.
and I think everybody else will. Tom, you sent that as far as the / remind. So Tom, do you have to tell who you want to remind that? Can you pick who gets the reminder?
You generally are going to put it in a channel.
In a channel, I got it.
There's a variety of things you can do, and when you first learn it, it's a little. Sometimes on their instructions, frankly, they could explain things a little better because, again, the instructions are written by the tech geeks who think we're all at their level and understand coding, which we don't. But so it took me some and I mentioned this before the show when we were talking about the best way to learn about how to use Slack is go on YouTube and put in Slack tips and tricks. And so instead of getting all the geek language, the people like you and me who use it all the time will explain to you how to do it. And that's where I've learned most of my Slack's, capabilities is by going on YouTube and just looking for people who are smarter than me on that. But no, the reminders thing is a fantastic tool. There's so many things you want to, it could be, you got to water the flowers. I mean, all the things that just keep recurring over and over and over. And who's going to remember to do this? Well, when it pops up and it flashes on the Slack thing, there it is, so.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to write down water the tomatoes because I want tomatoes in August. You know that. Yes. Love my tomatoes. Thank you. Look at, one of you mentioned, and I can't remember who it was, about being able to quickly, you see somebody who's online, you just have a discussion with them. Listen, it's not getting through. I really need, you just make a simple click. The other person gets a ring and you're both on camera and you're both talking to yourself. And it's kind of like, oh, let's do a Zoom call. No, just quit. Bam, you're there in Slack. So Slack has made face-to-face communication pretty damn strong. We throw up audio, we throw up pictures, we throw up policy. I mean, Slack can hold just about anything and everything. And it's sometimes, Tom, I'm amazed of the size files that they're willing to take up. I mean, I some pretty big megabyte files, and they just take it. And so now it's up on Slack, and my team gets a chance to have it and see it. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's some of the obvious stuff, but you got to mention it again. Sure, you can go talk to somebody at their tool. You can have that discussion. That's great. You say they're not that far away. Why should I Slack it? One of those things that you've heard 1,000 times over, but if it's not written, it didn't happen. Yeah. Right. So I can Slack it to somebody, and then I'll maybe go talk to them too. But the fact that it's on there, it's kind of like, oh yeah, and we do that from time to time. Somebody goes, well, I don't think you mentioned that. And I say, yeah, I think I did, or vice versa. And lo and behold, there it is. Just skipped over that one.
Wow.
So, just recording everything, not from a legalistic standpoint, just recording everything that just being thorough, being efficient, getting the most hours out of the day is the bottom line.
Well, guys, this was so interesting. We're not going to be able to teach everyone how to use Slack, but I think we have done a great job to motivate our industry to realize that Slack is a cool tool. Tom, what a lot of people use is Google Teams. And when I asked a whole bunch of people to about coming on the show, I heard a lot about Google Teams. So Google's done a great job in using Teams for like Zoom meetings, and apparently they have this communication chat thing going on. Must be like Slack. But here's the point: we're not here to sell Slack. We were just here to share that we all have a common bond in Slack, and we use it in our companies. But have a communication tool. I mean, I think that opens up the idea. A lot of people say, "Well, we're all on Google Docs." No, yeah, you need Google Docs for sure. You need Google Docs. You need Sheets. You need slides. You need all that stuff. But you need that ability to be able to, it reminds me of the departments in the physical building and the cubicles in the different buildings. Well, I'm going to go over to accounts payable. Well, accounts payable has a channel now. You see, I'm going to go over and talk to the people in marketing. Well, marketing has a channel now. And, it was, well, I got to get in my car and go over and talk to the people in marketing at the place. No. They're as close as you could possibly be on your desktop, and that's what physical meetings are critically important. Trust me, I know that. But being able to get some of the very mid-level to low-level communication started and upgraded and thinking and thoughts. Who wants to pick a? God, I hope they answer the phone. I got this real quick question. All I want to know: how deep is the rain in Spain? I just want to know that. It's just a matter of bam, 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 and done. And you may have to wait 10 minutes, but at least it's at the convenience of the other individual.
Well, yeah. And then you're not going to forget to ask the question. People have been around this business. Yeah. Slack has eliminated certain frustrations because way back when, what would happen is okay, I want to ask Fred a question. Fred's a tech. I have a question, something to do with the car. I want to ask him a question. Of course, now I just put it in Slack. And whenever he gets to it, he answers it. But what would happen in the past is, okay, it depends how big your building is. I'll go ask him. So away I go, get up from my desk, and then and then finally after 2 minutes, you figure out he's on a test drive. Oh, okay. Well, when he gets back, I'll ask him. Yeah, right. But that now that vanished. Now that won't happen until it's too late. Or, hey, he's in the restroom or whatever. He's tied up in some way. He's not available. So I just went on my little excursion there, went back to my desk. That's the kind of time we used to waste more and more. And the kind of thing we're eliminating nowadays with something simple as just your basic Slack chat.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for all the great chatter. Appreciate having Nick on from over on the other side of the pond. He's such a great supporter of us. I think we teach him a lot what's going on here in the U.S. about stuff. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I hope that's good too. Well, anyway, the whole world knows that Chris and Nick and Tom are great Slack people. So don't hesitate to figure out how to reach out to these two guys. Tom's easily available through automotivemanagementnetwork.com. And I'm sure Chris, everybody knows Andy. So,
yeah,
Andy, get me Chris. I need Chris. He needs to tell me how to do this Slack thing. So guys, this was great. Thank you for, if you will, a short-sized, very creative discussion on Slack. Tom Ham, AutoCentric, Grand Rapids, Michigan Automotive Management Network, and the home of the Labor Rate Tracker at laborratetracker.com. And Chris Lum, Service Manager, Midwest Performance Cars, hanging out with our friend Andy Bizub out there with a soon-to-have third location. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us. Take care.
Bye-bye.